Let's bring in the Deputy Opposition Leader, Sussan Ley. Sussan, good to see you. We've got a pretty serious emergency that's taking place at the moment when it comes to a massive Optus outage. This from the government a short time ago. The government has sought further information from Optus about this development and when they expect service will be restored. So that's it from the government at this stage. It is early, I know, but do you have any comment on the Optus outage that's affecting millions of customers and businesses as we speak?
It is a really serious problem, Pete. 10 million customers, but all sorts of flow on with broadband users, with Uber drivers, with the entire suburban rail network in Melbourne, where I am, it seems. Yes, I've seen, well, rather a bland statement from Optus, followed by a rather bland statement from the government. I've got a lot of respect for Michele Bullock, our Communications Minister, but I think we need her to stand up soon and actually reassure people that the government has got its eye on this very closely. And we do need to see results. It's a reminder, isn't it, of how ingrained telecommunications is in all of our lives. And just walking into the studio here in Melbourne this morning, I was reminded of that when people were sort of standing looking blankly at their telephones and looking around, because it's so much part of life.
OK, onto the economy, Sussan. A top contributor of the most recent CPI figures was fuel, which rate rises will not affect. People still have to drive a car. So has the RBA got this one wrong?
Well, I'm not going to criticise the RBA. I've always said that they are doing what they need to do. The problem is that the government is not doing its job. And Chris Richardson and other economists have made it clear that the overseas factors that the government was pointing to are in fact not the reason for the inflationary pressures, or all of the inflationary pressures now. Of course, we had the government pointing to overseas factors for a long time. Now they're suddenly saying that domestic infrastructure is a problem. They're all over the place. They don't have a plan to tackle inflation. And meanwhile, we've got this continually ratcheting up. It's smashing Australian families in the lead up to Christmas. It's over $20,000 more on the average mortgage payments per year. Those are after-tax dollars, Pete. I was at Oz Harvest, a food rescue charity that provides meals for people who are doing it tough, last week in Sydney. And they had some alarming statistics. I mean, 77% of the people who are reporting food insecurity now are doing so for the very first time. Yeah. These are really, really sobering statistics in what I'm saying is, sure, in many corners of this country, the hungry country.
So what are some things? Just give me a couple of points that the government could be doing to help bring down inflation.
Their energy policy, their IR extreme industrial relations policy that they're pushing ahead with. And of course, there are 1.5 million migrants coming to Australia with no plan for where to live or really how they're going to integrate into the economy's workforce. So those are three things, Pete, and we've been calling them out for a long time. And they're obviously not helping. The cost of energy has an input into every single thing that people do. You've mentioned fuel.
The IR changes haven't come into effect, though, have they yet?
Well, there's been one round of IR changes that is affecting businesses, and everywhere I go, businesses talk about them because they know they're coming, because the government is insisting on bringing them down. In fact, it's only through the good work of our Senate that we've put them off until early next year. OK, so I had Stephen Jones on the program earlier this hour, and I asked them, what are they doing to bring inflation down? They pointed to fiscal discipline by banking savings and not adding to the inflationary fire. He pointed to targeted relief into childcare. Is that helping? Look, if the government wants to take credit for the surplus, as we often see them do, they need to take responsibility for the interest rate rise and the effect it has on families. Now, childcare is one of the long list of things that the government mentions. But I just simply say this: does anyone feel better off than they did a year ago or even 18 months ago? So in May 2022, Anthony Albanese promised your electricity would be cheaper, your mortgages would be cheaper, life would be cheaper under me. In fact, I've pointed to a tweet he made in May 2022, which is quite ironic when you look back and see the situation we're in now. The important thing is not what the government points to and what they say, but how people feel. And people are not feeling well off, and they're feeling very anxious and worried about the future. And I don't think anything this government says is reassuring them about that future.
Merry Christmas, folks. Sussan Ley, appreciate that. Thank you.